Hi, Steve here again. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the fact that you've heard Hotel California one too many times and you're ready for something new. And that something new, my friend, is jazz. Eventually you get tired of hearing these same records over and over and over again, and I'm not listening to hip hop or rap, sorry. So what's a fellow to do? Well, let me tell you what. A few years back I decided I'm not really into jazz, but let me see if I can get into jazz because I need something new and different to listen to. Of course, listening to jazz is an acquired taste in my case. I wasn't quickly to come to it, but the fact is, you may not like jazz either, but you might like jazz more than you think. Take this one, for example, the Dave Brubeck Quartet, Time Out. It has that great classic Take 5. Recently they were using that in a commercial. And it took on a whole new life. That's what happens to these old recordings a lot of times. Jazz can be somewhat hard to get into, especially with the sometimes harsh horns. At first, it seems that way until you get accustomed to it. For example, like John Coltrane, A Love Supreme. This maybe wouldn't be the first one you'd start with if you're starting to collect jazz. Your speed might be something more like Chet Baker sings. He plays trumpet and he sings all at the same time. Well, not exactly at the same time, but you get my meaning. This can be a great starter album if you're just getting into jazz. It's very easy to take, and it's kind of what they call the West Coast jazz. The New York jazz was like the bebop, the real frantic sounding horns and that sort of thing. Like Charlie Parker, early Charlie Parker type stuff. And I've never really been into that. I'm more into the West Coast jazz. So a little more laid back. For example, something like Art Pepper. And I don't know if you've seen these collections before, but they sell these on Amazon, and it's like 4 of his albums, all in 2 CDs. It's quite a deal. I think I paid like $11 for this. So I'm not sure if the quality is the best, but seems to play okay. And that's something you might consider if you're just getting into jazz. You can get these compilation sets without getting in with spending a lot of money. Another good jazz album you might look at to be starting into your jazz journey would be John Coltrane's My Favorite Things. And of course it has that one that was practically a top 40 hit, My Favorite Things, back in the day. And it's great. It has Summertime on it, But Not For Me. And, you can really get into this one quite easily. It's very pleasant to listen to. And as you can see, I'm no expert when it comes to jazz, but I know what I like, and I like it because it's not something I've heard a million times before, like Hotel California, one too many times. But now, you might be more familiar with jazz than you think, because if you're listening to Steely Dan, for example, an amazing amount of jazz goes into an album like that. Also Asia. So you're familiar with jazz. Even if you like the music from the Charlie Brown cartoons, the Vince Guaraldi, that's some jazz you grew up with and you didn't even know it. Once you start getting into jazz a little bit more, you learn to appreciate the playing. And for example, on Miles Davis Milestones, it doesn't get much better than that. Here's a nice copy I have from Acoustic Sounds I just picked up locally, and it's great. I highly recommend this album. And just about everybody's heard of the Miles Davis Kinda Blue album. And what makes this album so notable is the fact that you had all the top players of the day on this. You had Bill Evans on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, James Cobb on drums. You had Cannonball Adderley on saxophone and John Coltrane playing saxophone. So that's what makes something like this one one of a kind right here. That's one great album. But again, it might be an acquired taste. And if you're old like me and you've heard Hotel California one too many times, think about getting into the world of jazz. It's a very pleasant and new experience, and I think you'll enjoy it. So if you got anything out of this video, please give it a like, think about subscribing, and I'll see you again next time.